Welcome to yet another Thursday livecast episode. As you can see, I'm still, I got back to Europe now. So for the next couple of months, you're going to be seeing me with different backgrounds as I'm hopping around and visiting family. But basically, today I have David with us. And I had a conversation with David maybe about 2 months ago. It's been a while since we talked. But I was quite impressed by the wealth of experience David has when it comes to selling. And he's been working with coaches and have been supporting them with the sales process and educating them about do's and don'ts and what are the different tips and tricks and secrets that professional salespeople have up their sleeves. And today he is going to be sharing some of the secrets with this community. So I'm very excited to learn more about. I know a lot of coaches, we struggle with this. It's not an easy topic. For many people, it's not very natural for them to sell, although we sell actually all the time. Some people just don't know that this is a sales process. And sales has such a bad rap. So hopefully David will be able to clean up with some of the wrong beliefs or bad rap that sales has and share with us the secrets. So David, share more about yourself. What's your story? How did you get started with sales? And over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be here today. Yeah, as you said, my name's David. I'm known as the sales angel. My name's David Angel. But I fell into sales. It wasn't something which was a big plan. I went through the school years, didn't do great, wasn't that committed. In short, ended up running restaurants and then fell out of love with it, and then wanted a new career path. And sales was something which you could just get into without any experience and a bit of grit and determination. And to be frank, I was completely and utterly atrocious at it. I really was awful. And then I took to actually looking at what I was bad at and become a good student. And I looked at some of the people out there that were selling at the very top of their game. And I really looked at them in a humble way and went, they're not that different from me. And from that point, it was the start of the journey of working out what those frameworks are into how to sell effectively, what really is sales, how to navigate those processes, and how really to get ourselves to a stage where it's effective. And like you rightfully said earlier, sales gets a bad rap because we've all had a bad experience. But for all of us, we've all been to a restaurant once and had a crappy meal, right? That's happened. But it doesn't put us off eating ever again. We might just not go back to that restaurant. And here's the big thing that we've got now. If you're choosing to go into business, if you're choosing to be a coach, you're choosing to be an expert, you're choosing to share your expertise with the world, and you're not going to sell, you're really going to be capping yourself on the amount of people that you can actually have as paying clients. So if you're going to do this, which I presume anyone who's watching this is planning to do what you're doing for the rest of your life, it makes more sense to work out how to effectively navigate those processes. Because if you can understand how to communicate with people, not just in the way that we want to buy, but in a way that resonates with the other person more, they're more likely to do business with us. And that's pretty much what we're aiming to cover today. Shall I just jump straight into it, Rena? Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with everyone here, just because I think it's important not just to look at my face, but I think it's good for you all to see in a bit more detail what we're actually talking about. And this is a presentation I've used with a lot of our higher end clients, because here's the big thing we've got. Most of the problems that we have are actually all pretty similar. For most people out there now, there's a number of things that we struggle with, and it's working out them. And if we look around our businesses at the moment, if you're a coach, getting a steady income, getting new clients, getting a high conversion rate within those amount of people that you talk to, or getting even enough leads are four of the main cruxes within there. But we're trying to do all these things without that icky, horrible feeling where we're hounding people into it. But there's a flip side to this, which a lot of people forget. You can't half bake a cake. Like if you go off and you get the ingredients and we get the recipe and we only leave it in the oven for 4 minutes, it's not going to be a delightful treat for us to eat. And actually, for most people out there to buy into you and to your expertise, they need you to be fully committed to them. Now, people freak out when they hear about objections. They freak about this and they freak out about that because we feel uncomfortable. But that's an internal feeling for us. It's not necessarily a feeling for them. And it's really working out the big difference. And if we look at our businesses now, there's quite a number of things that we have to look at. If you think about yourself within your business now, and it's not all about money, right? But there's a part of it which money comes into it because we're all charging, right? So as much as we can go, we all want to be lovely around the world. We charge for our services because people pay attention and they're going to get a result. But think about your business now, what bracket you landed in. Say it's 50K, 100K, 500,000 this year, last year, in the last 12 months. But then think about what is that, how much is that worth to you, primarily you? So if you've got a coaching business and it turns over £100,000 and you're paying 30% tax, and then you've got your expenses, and then you've got this, and then you've got that, what is it actually worth to you? That's one side. But then I want you to think about what is it worth to the other side? What is the impact that you make as a coach, as a consultant, as an expert to someone's business? And I'll give you a prime example. For me, if someone hires me to work with them for a year, we're not cheap, but we're also looking to add a huge amount of value to that person. If we've just took one client and added £2.5 million of revenue to them, then paying £10,000, I'm pretty sure everyone would swap, right? £10,000 in, 2.5 million out. But if you're a coach and you transform people's lives, you've got to be able to work out what the value is to that person. Does it mean they earn more money? Does it mean they're a better father, a better mother, a better son, a better daughter? Are they happier? Do they get rid of fears? Do they get rid of anxieties? Do they just live a happier life? And we have to look at both sides. We've got to look at what it's worth to us. We've got to look at what it's worth to them. But we've got to break down our numbers as well. So think of it like this. I know coaches at the moment that are doing around one presentation a week, like actual proper qualified presentation. Now, if you think of someone who's really skilled in sales, their best conversion might be 60%, maybe 70%. So if you're not effective in the sales arena and selling and presenting and closing the business, not to push them into our business, but to attract them in, you might only have a 10% conversion rate. Now, if you only have a 10% conversion rate, but in the last 30 days, you've only presented to 4 people, it's hardly surprising that we don't have any clients. And this is the thing we've got to think about. Whatever your skill set is now, if you're and we use the word closer because it's a stat, right? If you're 10% effective, so 9 out of 10 people won't buy, but your product is £2,000, that's okay. But we've got 2 choices. We get more effective at narrating our story to build the desire to get that person to buy, or we have to talk to more people. And if we just sit there doing the same thing over and over and over again, we all know that conversation, right? And we end up feeling terrible and it's awful and we doubt ourselves. But actually, you're just not giving yourself enough chances based on the skill set that we've got. And it's really naive to think that we're going to have a 100% success rate. Imagine if I was a footballer and I missed a shot and then I went home and went, right, I've given up. I'm no good at football. Or a basketball player misses a shot and he's like, right, I quit. That's it. I'm done. Doesn't matter. I'm the best out there. Like, we wouldn't expect it from the very best athlete, the top athlete that's ever walked the planet. But for some reason, we as a coach, especially in our new times, we're brand new, without experience, without getting that first client. And then we wonder to ourselves why we're not getting the money, the deals, the clients, the results, the presentations that we need. But we're in our early days. It's like judging an 8-year-old for making a mistake. And I think we've got to cut ourselves a bit of slack. So ask yourself this: how many leads did you get last week, last month, whatever the number is? How many people, if we looked at the last 6 months, have you presented your service to? And I don't mean just randomly had a conversation, like an actual structured conversation. Imagine I'm a surgeon. I could talk to you in a pub about an operation, or I could have you in for a consultation about an operation. There's a very big difference between the two. And the people that need you within your service, the people that need you as a coach, they need the consultant version of you, not the half-baked cake conversations. Now, there's a number of things that people don't think about. If you think about your financial goal now, just to talk about finances, if you're at 50K now and your goal is to get 100, you're at 100 and you want to get 500,000. Maybe you've got a maximum amount of clients that you can handle. As a coach, if you work one-to-one, how many clients could you possibly deal with? Because it's mentally taxing. I have one-on-one clients. I can't have more than 12 because I deal with them every week. And me having more than 2 days a week where I have more than 2, so I can have 2 days a week where I have 3, the rest of the days I have 2, that's me done. I'm emotionally drained after that. So you guys have got to think as well. If I've got a financial goal, a business goal, what is my physical cap that I can even handle? And then working out, like we said, that actual conversion rate of if I could handle, say you can only handle 5 clients. I've got a financial goal of 100,000, but my product is 1,000. We've got no way of hitting that goal. And in the back of our mind, we know that. So we sort of half go through our life trying to achieve a goal that's physically impossible and then beating ourselves up, but we're not getting it. And a lot of the time out there, we've got to work out all of these different points. So let's think of the numbers there. Say you can manage 2 one-on-one clients a day. So you can manage, and you're going to talk to them every week with your coaching. So that means you could do 10, right? And then your program is £2,000. So you could have as many, right? Now we get on maths, and it's a 8-week course. Now you can start working out the numbers of how many people that you could actually take on. And when we know our conversion rate, say it's 1 in 5 now, or say it's 1 in 9, sorry. And then we go, okay, well, actually, if I could get my conversion rate down to 1 in 5, I actually need far less people to talk to. I'm going to be far more effective. The people that get on with me get impact. And we actually get to take this to another level whilst still impacting our client. Because what we're talking about right now is us. But we've got to work out all of this and still over deliver. And this is what we're going to talk about in a second, because doing all of this is all well and good. But actually, if you're not delivering to the end user, it's completely pointless. And that's the big thing with coaching. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this, you're one of the great people that actually wants to see their clients win. I'm addicted to sales coaching. Like, it's mental. Like, it's almost disturbing. Because I'll talk to clients every day, WhatsApp. And they're like, I've never had someone message me with so many ideas and so much passion. And so, because I love what I do. Now, if you're the same in your coaching industry, and you know there's a lot of people that aren't, this is what we need to latch into. And what we need to do is take that energy, take that passion, and use that to stand out from the crowd. But there's a few harsh truths. You're either going to need to get more skills to achieve it, better use of the existing skills that you've got, because let's be frank, no one that's watching this now is using every skill we have to its highest potential. No one's running as fast as they can, thinking as quick, or writing as neatly. We all sort of do things. We all need to either cut down the time of learning, or we want to do a little bit of all of this. And I want to say this to everyone who's watching this. If you imagine the best version of you, like literally imagine it, what you look like, how you walk, how you talk, how you deliver, the way people talk about you, right? The way you compose yourself, the way your brain works when no one's listening to you, all of those things that we know. And go, okay, well, that's the best version you can imagine of you. And then there's the version of you now. If we're ever going to make this a reality, some of this stuff has to happen. Because all of the stuff that we're doing with developing skills, it's not just about selling. It's about us becoming the best version of us. And if you're a coach, that's what you're trying to do with others. But a lot of the time, we need to coach ourselves a bit better. And I think sometimes might just be me, but we learn a certain amount more than we thought we would. And we get to the stage where we almost go, I can't imagine knowing more than I know now. And it's a real fine line between being an expert and being a student as well. Because we're trying to pull some people up, but we're also need to keep moving up ourselves. And we've got to look in exactly the same way we do with our students as we do with ourselves. And we've almost got to treat ourselves like a student. Imagine you were coaching you and you had to rate yourself on effort, on your tenacity, on your grit, on your studying, on your learning, on your practicing. What score would you be giving yourself? And none of this out of 10. I'm done with the 0 to 10 scoring. Because listen, a girl says to me, or a guy says to me, rate me on my looks, 0 to 10. No one's going to go below 4 because that's horrible, right? No one's going to go above 8 because it sounds, so you have like 3 numbers. So if we go out of 100, now it's easier, right? Because then we go, okay, well, actually, how skilled are you in face-to-face talking? I know, 45. Okay, cool. A lot of room for growth at 45. Even if you say 75, there's room for growth. But here's the great thing we've got. If you look at a plane, say a plane takes 150 miles an hour to get off the runway. Say that's its takeoff speed. And you're only doing 140. It would feel like we're ready to go. It would feel like it's ready to take off. But if we stay on that runway for too long, we're going to crash. Because you can't operate at that bouncing down the runway forever. And we often are doing that. A lot of people out there now are doing 140 in their life, and they need to be at 150. And the extra skills, the extra tenacity, the extra grit, the extra learning that we do as a student ourselves gives us the extra power, speed, and acceleration we need to get to that next level to actually take off. The problem in coaching is a lot of us have been guilty. I'm sure we can all admit it in our side. That we've all took time. We've looked at other coaches. We, in a nice way, see that we're as good as them on some level, but they're already at altitude. So they're not doing the same actions as us because they're already at 35,000 feet. So we're judging, we're trying to do the same actions that they're doing up at 35,000 feet, and we're trying to get off the runway. But for the plane to take off, it needs a lot more acceleration. But it does at 35,000 feet. And this is why most people are screwed in the nicest way. Because they're doing 35,000 foot activities and they're sat on the runway saying the industry isn't right, this is unfair, oh, it's too competitive, it's this, it's that. And we're using more energy out there for excuses than we are for actually taking actions. Now, the reason I talk about sales training, and this is just in general for training anyway. I'll move that down a bit so you can see us there. And this goes for a lot of training, but for sales training itself, 94% of people that consistently apply sales training get more results. Now let's think about it with you in coaching. Let's change that stat and maybe go off after this and work out the stats that matter to you. What are the stats for people as coaches? What are the top players doing? Doesn't matter what country, doesn't matter their age, sex, religion, whatever it is. What are the top people doing when they were at your stage of life? How many hands were they shaking a day? How many meetings were they on? How many calls were they on? How many stages did they get onto? How many podcasts did they speak to? That's one of the big things we need to work out. And when we know those stats, it's far easier for us to move forward. I talk with clients now, and this will give you an idea of sales. So I want you guys to think about this for your coaching business. I had one of my clients who was already doing well. We're doing just under $1 million in sales without us. And when I first met him, and I bring this up purely out of being to shine a light on the way we are as humans, his words to me was, I couldn't learn anything more if I tried. I know sales. Within 6 months, 6.4 million. This was someone who was already at the stage of their business, but they knew what they were doing. Now, we can judge ourselves and we can be hypothetical about this and about that and all these different justifications. But the fact is, if we're not getting clients, something's not working. If we aren't getting more clients, if we're not growing, if our story isn't resonating, the market, the industry isn't working against us, but it gives us a clear indication. So if you post a video and it doesn't get any likes, something's not working. If you have 10 conversations and no one activates, something isn't working. And a lot of the points come down to a few things. And a lot of the pain points people will look at is we get ghosted, right? You're having a great conversation. They seem like they're ready to go. And then poof, as if by magic, they just disappear. A lot of people are working crazily long hours, working more hours now than we did in our jobs and getting no results. We have that comparison where we're looking at other people out there and they're getting far better conversions than we are. Or you get a lot of leads and you're getting lost with them. There's no real structure on what we're doing. And the problem with all of that is a lot of people spend most of their time hunting for the next fresh prospect, lead, person to comment on our post, our story, and then we're straight onto it. And this is normal for most businesses. I read an article the other day and said the average coach in their first year earns under £25,000. Now, I don't know whether that sounds about right to people, whether that sounds good to people, bad to people. For me personally, it doesn't feel good. If you're working long hours, you're putting your heart, your soul, your passion, and you've got a product, a service, a deliverable, which is going to massively help people's lives. I don't think that sounds a relative amount compared to the deliverability that we can have. And this is why so many people end up wondering, why am I not progressing? Why are things not moving forward? We think about giving up. Is coaching for me? Is the market too saturated? And we end up sick and tired of struggling with what we're actually trying to do. But actually, it all comes back to what we spoke about at the start. There's probably 10 to 15 areas, but we're missing 2 to 5 miles an hour on each one, which is what we actually need to take off. And it's not the fact that people are lazy. It's not. There's just a load of different things, but just aren't quite turned. Imagine if you get a combination lock and it's got 8 numbers. If all 8 numbers are just 1 digit out, it isn't going to unlock. But you're so close. Even if we've got the last digit, all of them are right, but the last digit is 1 out, it's not going to unlock. And you can quite easily stop then and go, this padlock's broke. This doesn't work. It's never going to work. But that one simple thing, that one thing which we can't see, that one thing we don't understand, we don't know which one it is to turn or what direction, is the problem that we've got. Now, if you end up feeling stuck and out of options, we end up doing a lot of this. So we end up finding a lot of time where we start looking for it. We don't even look for it. We just give excuses. Reasons why we feel tired, we feel worn out, we give ourselves more breaks. We blame it on the industry, the recession, COVID, whatever it might be. Now, all these things can be real, but it doesn't mean it holds you back. Every single person that I have worked with, every single person I've worked with, but puts in the work and puts in the effort with the right actions, with a bit of time, get real results. And it's always the same way. It's like taking a weighted vest off for people. And if you feel tired now and you feel like it's all against you, our mindset is one of the biggest things. And the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting to get different results. And we've all heard that saying, but we're still going out there. Or we sit there with a green-eyed monster, watching all these other people achieving, or what we think they are achieving, when a lot aren't, and thinking, why not me? Social media is great for you guys building a business, but it's also the worst because you spend hours scrolling for no reason because you're researching other coaches, right? We join every possible thing that we can out there to distract us from doing the hard work. And we watch other people and go, oh my God, they make it look so easy. But you don't realize in the background how hard they've really got it. But you've got to bear in mind this. If we take a line and we forget it's you for the minute, let's say the wonderful Doreen and Rena, right? Amazing ladies, professionals though. But if we take them and we put them in a lineup of 100 people, right? And we put a mask on everyone and we put a barrier in front of them. So we don't know which one Rena and Doreen is. We have to be able to understand, how would we know who they are? And everyone's like, well, I'm passionate and I'm knowledgeable and I'm understanding and I've got a great product and I'm going to help people. Great. Everyone in that line thinks the same. Everyone in that line has a belief. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come to the line. So what we've got to be able to think about is in an industry like coaching, it's worth 16 billion, probably even more than that now, and over nearly 600,000 coaches worldwide. That's a lot of people in the lineup, people. So we've got to work out, how are we going to stand out? Some people cannot stand me because I'm loud and gruff. And I'm all right with that. I'm not trying to get everyone to be my client. I'm trying to find the people that go, that's the guy who I know, if he worked with me every day for a year, my life would get better. But if I was meek and I was quiet, less opinionated, less direct, the people that I could actually really help would never stand up and go, that's the guy for me. I actually end up coaching more women than men. And most people always think that it would be more men for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm so loud. But we've got to understand exactly what we're trying to do, who we do it for, and how we're going to be able to stand out, put a hand up in the air, and other people that want us, need us, respect us, and would trust us will go, Doreen's for me, Rena's for me, that person's for me, this is the person for me. And like I said earlier with the half-baking cakes, we get nervous to stand out of the shadows, which means no one sees us. Now, yes, if we stand out of the shadows, we might get judged. But here's the thing you've got, and this is the harsh truth. We're being judged anyway. And we all like to think, I know everyone out there, none of us judge anyone. No one's ever looked at someone's shoes and thought, those shoes are a bit funny. We've never looked at someone's hair and thought that could have done with a brush, have we? We're all so innocent. We all do it. But then for some reason, we have this whole thing about us where we go, well, I don't want someone to judge us. No, it's not that. But what we're doing is, because we're feeling fragile, because we're feeling down, because things aren't resonating as well in our lives, one small thing now seems like a mountain. It becomes the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's because you're operating in a survival mentality. If you were thriving on your happiest day, you're walking down the road, you've got your dream house, your dream car, your dream family, your dream body, you're on a dream holiday, and someone walked down the road and went, I don't like you, you wouldn't care. The reason we're bothered is because we're not on cloud nine right now. We've lost appreciation for what we've got, for what we do, the gratitude for where we are and the position that we've got. And because we feel like we're in survival mode, as soon as something negative comes in, we relate to it because we're like, oh, I feel like rubbish anyway. And if we're feeling down on ourselves and we beat ourselves up and we're negative about ourselves, when something negative comes along, it's almost, we feel like it's a magnet getting pulled in. But we've got to take our time. We've got to think, how are we actually different? What is the difference between us? Now, when we work out why we're different, we have to understand, and I'll give you this as an idea. Say your goal is to get into the top 1% of earners. Easy to do it with maths, right? For you to be in the top 1%, it sounds good, right? It sounds cool. It sounds exciting. It sounds, I'm going to be rich. But it means you have to be different from 99% of people. Now, again, that sounds all right. But that means if I'm in a room with 100 people and I'm the 1%, that means the other 99% are likely to get to disagree with what I do, what I say, how I say it, because they're in the 99%. And that's fine. But say you want to get into top 10%. That means it's still 90 of them are going to disagree. So if our plan is to get in the top 10%, if you were to get into earning 100 grand a year, you're probably going to be in the top 30%. That means the other 70% are still going to disagree with you. So if we want to get into that club, we have to understand there's going to be a judgment that's going to come in. Now, we've got to understand we have to take the passion, the experience, the belief, and the commitment that we've got away from this. And we have to get down to the brass tacks of what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. And when we get clear about this, it's far easier for us to build an offering that is so valuable to the other people that actually we don't want everyone to be our client. And when people that you've already dismissed as a client in the nicest way, it doesn't bother you as much. The problem is, for most people, we're going out to the market trying to find everyone to be your client. But even if they're in your avatar, it doesn't mean you want them as your client. There's toxic people on this planet which you don't want as a client. There's rude people that you don't want as a client. They might tick all the boxes as an avatar. But the problem is, because you don't have enough leads, enough clients, enough money in the bank, You're trying to sell to everyone, which means we don't talk to anyone. And this is why it's so important. A lot of the time out there, when you're going through this, most people that are in coaching space have inherited the methods that you use from a person before you, which is great. Here's the problem. Sometimes the person you got trained by was trained by someone else, let's say 10 years ago. And they were trained by someone else when? 10 years ago. And they picked up their skills from someone 10 years before. Now, that doesn't mean that none of those things work, but it means some of those things aren't as effective as they used to be. And often, and here's the big problem, if we go back to our screen earlier where we're standing out in the crowd, imagine if 10 years ago, this person trained 10 people, and those 10 people trained 10 people. Suddenly, all of the people you're competing against were trained by the same people, which means they say the same thing, they do the same thing, they ask the same questions, they do them in the same order. So we're back into being in the crowd again. And what we do makes sense. And what you do might have been the best way, but it used to work for them better because there was only 10 people doing it. You're doing it in the same place with 1,000 people. And if we took the person who trained you and trained them and put them into it wouldn't work for them either. So we've got to work out what does work, what doesn't work. Take a car from the 1990s. Great car at the time. But if you look at the interior of a 1990s Mercedes and a 2022 Mercedes, there's a hell of a lot of difference. And in 1990, that one was really popular. That was the bee's knees at the time. And what we've got to do is work out what doesn't work for us now, what does work. Most of you out there are an expert within coaching, but not in business. We don't know the finer details of what is actually going to move through, pull the trigger, what's going to move people to actually take action. And we've got too many distractions that are activity and they're not producing you activity. Sorry, they're not producing results. Now, we've all got times in our life where we get sidetracked. I go windsurfing, right? I love windsurfing. If it's sunny today and it's windy, do you know what I want to do? Go windsurfing. But I also know I'm like that. So do you know what I do? I start work at 5:30 every morning. Why? Because it gives me the freedom on a sunny day to go and enjoy my life without wasting my productivity. And we all know we've got these things within us. And how many of us have walked out the door to go to the coffee shop to go and get a slice of cake and go, no, I really should be at home working. So then we don't enjoy ourselves as much. So what we've got to do is go, okay, well, if I'm going to have these distractions and I should have that slice of cake and I should go windsurfing, what I actually should be doing is working out the times I'm going to work, what I'm going to do and getting effective skills so that I kick ass, make money, my clients succeed, and I get to live the life that I actually want. So who's this all for? And it's simple. It's coaches. And the reason it's for coaches is simply this. You're wearing all the hats. You're prospecting, you're selling, you're presenting, you're coaching. You're the marketer, you're a financial officer, you're the CEO, the managing director, the COO. We've got a lot of hats, people. So we've got all the hats and hardly any of the training. And we're wondering why we're getting stressed. Imagine if I gave you a factory to run and went, how many staff are working? None, it's all you. Imagine how much you'd be running around, doing this button and running here and doing that and going here and checking here and doing this. It wouldn't work. So if we're going to have to wear all the hats, we've got to work out how do we cut down our learning time and get more effective in each area so that we can actually deliver a better rate of results. And this is one of the key areas. For most people out there, and this is just harsh but true, the offer sucks. The offer out there for most people is a risk. We might not see it as a risk. We're passionate, we're amazing, we're able. They see it as a risk financially. If you're going to work with someone about their emotions, they might see it as a risk about opening up and all the other jazz, right? We've got to make sure there's an increased chance of success. Because let's be frank, we're not all as committed as we like to make out. True? We've all fell off the wagon. How many people have done a New Year's Eve? I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to the gym. We're knocking the booze on the head, right? We all do it. And how many of us jump off the wagon? And we find some blooming good reasons for it as well. We've always got a good reason. But then when we go to hire, a coach goes to hire, someone goes to hire, someone goes to hire us as their coach. we don't expect them to have the same doubt. If someone's 40 years old, they moved out at 20, they've lived out for 20 years, and they've had 20 years of letting themselves down on New Year's Eve, that's in one area of their life. So is it hardly surprising? But when we turn around and go, if you spend £3,000 or £500 or £10,000 with me, you're going to get results. There's a little part inside, to be frank, in 3 weeks' time, I might just go on holiday and knock this on the head. So with your offer, you've got to work out a plan. Give you a prime example. And this isn't me pitching it, it's just saying it. When we worked out my offer used to be join our 1-year coaching program and we'll rocket your sales. Sounds all right. Now, my offer is simply this. If you do what we say when we say it, and you don't make a 5x return on a £10,000 investment, I'll give you your money back. Big difference. It's specific. You know what to expect. You've got to think, well, how much is it? And what am I going to get? What have we done? We removed the risk. We're increasing the chance of success. Makes us stand out. Gives a result. People want to know with absolute clarity what's going on. Now, you might not be able to guarantee that X will happen. But if you know that if you follow my steps, this is what you'll get. And you go, okay, well, if you don't get here, I'll do this for you. I'll work with you until you do. I've got a friend of mine who done one recently. They had weight loss, and it was lose £6 in, is it £6 in 6 weeks? If you lost £6 in 6 weeks, you got your money back. Great offer. So if you give up, you've paid it. If you want that money back from it, all you've got to do is lose £6. And that's on you. You're going to get the tools and the training and the other stuff. So think now, what is the clarity about your offer? Forget it's you, forget it's what you do and how you do it and your passion and your belief and all the other stuff. If we just put your offer on the wall, like my beautiful illuminated sign, and it was shining up here and someone walked in who didn't know you, but needed your service, what would be the reason that that shining light would stand out to them? What would they question? What would they doubt? Why would they doubt it? Where would their lack of belief come from? What would they think the likelihood of success would be? And a lot of the time, this is where we're going wrong. You've got a good offer. You've got an all right offer. It needs to be an outstanding offer. Because imagine if we've got everyone lined up in a row and everyone walks out and says their offer. The biggest, boldest offer that's the most specific, like a laser beam on a sniper rifle, that cuts through and shines a light on them, removes the risk, increases the chance of success, is the one they're going to remember. Now, you might not be able to guarantee the world, and that's cool. But there's something you can do that stands out, because you've got to plant your flag. Because if we're not fully committed to our offer, how do we expect other people to become committed to our offer? We know us. We've known ourselves for our whole life. This is your baby. This is your coaching. This is what you've decided to do for the rest of your life. And you could have 10 people right now that are 140 miles an hour, but need to be at 150 to buy your product or service. And the offer not being right is the thing that's holding you back, that's acting like a canopy, holding back that speed. Because even if they want it and they believe in you, if they don't believe there's a high... Imagine I tell you to jump out of a plane. I tell you there's a 90% chance that you'll succeed. You'll be up for it. If I said there's a 50% chance that the parachute wouldn't open, we ain't jumping, right? It wouldn't matter if someone said there's £1 million on the table. You go, why do I care about £1 million if I'm dead? Because there's a reduced risk, there's a reduced chance of success. But if you can reduce my risk, right? For me personally, you increase the likelihood that it would work if I follow the steps. It stands out from all the other people that are out there. And I know there's a specific result I'm aiming for. If that result is big enough and the risk has been reduced enough, I'm more likely to take action. And too often we sort of put it out there. I sort of can do this and I'll sort of do that. And because you're not fully committed and the offer isn't clear, it's not absolute, it's not melting through the ice like a piercing laser, people aren't committed enough to go because they see it as a risk. And this is the final part. It doesn't have to be an overnight thing, but people are lazy. People give up after a while. People don't have staying power for a lot of things. So if I say to you, I'm going to make you £1 million in 10 years, bit of a commitment, right? If I said to you, I can make you £1 million in 10 years, or I can help you make £10,000 extra a year for the rest of your life, and I can do that in 2 weeks. Could be the same amount of money. But the wording in the offer increases its chance of success, reduces the level of risk, we still stand out, gives a result, and it's in a quick time. If you tweak your offer, just that alone will get you better. Now, number 2, when we're talking about why you, everyone out there can talk a good game. We can go back to our beliefs and our passions and all that stuff. Everyone talks a good game. It's not about you talking a good game. It's you talking an eloquent and effective conversation that vibrates in the head of that person. You know, when you ever had someone talk to you and they say something and it stays in your head like a ding, 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 like a pinball machine. That's what we need to be able to do. Because then even if they don't buy from you, they want to go, geez, that Doreen's on a path, isn't she? That's what you want to leave as a lasting impression. But because we're all half baking our cakes, people say what? Oh yeah, I'll think about it. We'll talk about it tonight over the dinner table and we'll catch up tomorrow. There was no big offer. Wasn't enough from you. They go home and go to wife. Oh, I spoke to someone today about this coach. What's it about? Oh, we're going to do this. And then the half-baked cakes. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, let's think about it a couple of months. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. And then suddenly they disappear. But when they go to bed at night and they lay there. So I talk about this all the time with people. I will talk to people in a conversation, but we'll talk about thinking. And I'll say, do me a favor. When you go upstairs tonight, what color's your bathroom? Blue. When you go upstairs tonight and you look at those blue walls while you're brushing your teeth and you think about our conversation today, I want you to think of 2 things. First thing, is Dave terrible? Right? When you say that, gets their attention because then they're curious about what the second thing is. And the other side is, how likely is it that what he's told me will work? And I want you to think about that while you're brushing your teeth. And when you finish brushing your teeth and you wipe your mouth and you go back and you lie down on your pillow, I want you to just sit there for 2 minutes and ask yourself, what if? What if I'm right? What if I can deliver what I've said? What if we could do everything that we said in a less amount of time? Would it be worth taking that chance? And I want you to think on that tonight for 5 minutes. Just when you go to bed, lie your head down, think about it. And let's have a conversation tomorrow. Is that fair enough? There's far more than me just going to think about it. Okay, I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Great. And you'll be amazed the amount of people, because it's a direct conversation. When you speak the next day, they go, do you know how annoying it is for me to be thinking about you 2 minutes before I go to bed? I know. But we're having a direct conversation that's putting it in the mind of that person. And if we're planning to make an impact on that person's life, it starts with you planting a seed in their mind. It's not, you're not trying to sneak it into their mind. You're trying to make a lasting impact in their mind. So even if they don't hire you, Doreen, Rena, whoever, you want them to be thinking about you when they make a coffee in 2 days' time. They see your post on social media, but talks directly to their pain points. And they go, God, yeah, I need to take action. And this is why talking a good game isn't enough. You've got to be able to work out what that tangible promise is. What exactly is the promise that those people need to have in their mind that sits there and vibrates in their head? And that's what that steel ball is. That's short, it's concise, but helps them move forward. Now, this is what I'm going to do for the last 5 minutes, because this is one of the big things for coaches. Your objections that you're getting, you're seeing them as hurdles, they're not. If Doreen says to me, oh, yeah, it's good, but it's a bit expensive, instead of me going, oh, God, my day's ruined, I see Doreen saying that to me, going, great, Doreen likes this. She's trying to think about where she's getting money from. She didn't say she didn't like it. She said it's too expensive. So she's either not seeing the value, or she might be thinking, how do I justify this? Or I'm worried it won't work. I'm worried I won't get the value. But that objection isn't a problem. That objection cuts through. It tells me where they are. It tells me what your location is right now. And if I presented to you and I think you're here, but actually Doreen's over here, her telling me the objection is her putting a hand up going, I'm stuck over here. The problem is you don't know what to say when that happens and how to bring them back. And that's because we're just trying to present and go like a magician, ta-da, expecting them to throw money at us and, oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah. What we really need to do is be a real professional. If I went in for a surgery, would you be surprised if I had questions for my doctor? You wouldn't. You wouldn't be surprised if I had concerns or said, oh, listen, I don't even think, maybe we'll just avoid it. I'll come back in 6 months. I'd be scared, I'd be nervous, I'd be concerned, I'd be queries. I've got to have anesthetic. I'm about to take a big step into the unknown. I'm going to be outside of my comfort zone. You as coaches are asking everyone to go outside their comfort zone, but you're expecting them to be comfortable. How are they going to go outside their comfort zone and be comfortable? They don't get brought in bubble wrap on a comfy sofa. We're going out to the wilderness where they're worried. And the objections that they give to us gives us a clear and a concise idea of exactly where they are. Are you happy with that, Rena? Are we good? I'm about right on time. Shall I pass it back on to you? There we go. I hope you found that helpful anyway.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I've definitely written down a few things, and this is definitely very helpful, made me think about a lot of things. And what I see as an issue with a lot of coaches is really knowing their own self-worth. And often many coaches, they almost expect that somebody goes, looks for them, finds the golden nugget that they are, brushes off the dust off of them and gives them a lot of money for whatever it is that they're offering. But this is not how the real world works. In the real world, how do you befriend strangers? How do you actually have those conversations? How do you paint that picture for them? This is where you're going. This is what's holding you back. This is how I can come in and help. And most coaches, I would say, probably I'm exaggerating, I don't know most coaches, but from what I've seen, when people do discovery calls with me, when they want to practice and such, many people, they really don't have that kind of like sales, they're not wearing the sales hat. They are coaching, but they are not enrolling, which is different. These are two different things. And if they're enrolling, especially when it comes to asking for, for being paid, to inviting a person to invest, often this is when people go kind of like weird on you. Yes. And especially when it comes to like naming the price they want, usually we sell ourselves short. And it's more, I would say, has something to do with our own beliefs, opinions about, we equate our work and how much it's worth with how much we are worth.
Yeah.
And most of us, we struggle with actually valuing ourselves as human beings. So is this something you've ever struggled?
Everyone does it.
Excellent.
But here's the thing. Most people are trying to say prices that they're comfortable with. What you need to do instead is your clients need to, if your clients don't go a little bit on your price, you're probably charging too little. Because when someone goes, that's more than they wanted to spend, but it doesn't mean they can't afford it. But what we've got to do, instead of going into it, and the problem with selling is a lot of people think it's high. So I'm going to change your life, Rena, and we're going to make you a superstar. And it's none of that. The whole conversation that we have around is you talking to me about who you are now, where you want to go, why you haven't got there yet, what you've tried, what's the solution, why would you bother now? And we go through this whole emotional journey of everything. I talk I'm talking on a masterclass because I'm talking. On a sales conversation, I talk about 15% of the time. That's it. Because you should be talking, because it's about you. And if you're saying to me, but say you got in a call with me about hiring me as a sales coach, and I say to you, I don't even know if I'm a good fit for you. Genuinely, we generally turn down 30% of people because we have a money back guarantee, and I don't want to give that to people, but we're not going to get results for. So you tell me, hypothetically, if you were to work with me, why do you think now would be the time that you would take the action? Well, I do this and I do that, but have you tried that before? Well, yeah, we did. And what happened? Okay, why do you think it didn't work? And this and that. And we go down the rabbit hole. Most coaches don't. Most people go down basic 101 selling. They talk a lot. This is what I can do. Would you like to do it? No. Okay, goodbye. I don't care if you don't buy from me now. And this is the problem. People go, lead comes in, I present, you buy, I coach. No. This is your life. These are the problems you've had. Now you've found me. And at some point from now to the point you die, you want to fix this. And if now you talk to me and you want to do that, great. Or if you decide to carry on with this pain point, you can. Or maybe it's for time after. Or maybe you're going to see a post in 3 weeks. Or maybe it's going to be in 6 months. And the whole thing about being effective in sales is being in the right place when that person is ready. And if you can activate that person, amazing. But think about if you were going to spend £10,000 with me. You might go, yeah, no, yeah, no, 5, 6 times. But the pain's got to be greater than the money it cost you. And here's the problem most people get. You get on a strategy call and you start putting band-aids onto axe wounds. Oh, I do a little bit of coaching here and I'll help them on that. So suddenly the pain's gone away for that person just for a second. They leave your place feeling like they don't need your help because they've got this plaster on. And half an hour later, that plaster falls off in the rain and they're back to the same pain point. And that's the problem. Coaches are coaching on calls they shouldn't be coaching on. If you're going to coach someone, you coach them fully. If I come to work with you, I work with you on a mastermind like this. I do this because it's a lead magnet, right? But if I work with you, I work with you for a year. That's because I'm making lasting change to impact your life. I'm not trying to impact your life in half an hour. And that's the problem people are going, if I fix you quickly now, you'll pay me. No, they won't. When you go out for dinner, you order a good meal, you expect to pay after. Most stuff out there, you don't. A lot of stuff we pay beforehand, right? And we don't begrudge paying for it beforehand. The reason being is we know the value we're going to get. And our self-worth comes over time. Most coaches aren't spending enough time selling, presenting, asking for the order. Simple trick with this. Our highest costing program is £50,000, right? That's for companies, that's for corporate, right? I have one of those a year that normally goes for it. So if I want to talk to you about £10,000 and I want to make that more comfortable, nothing better than saying 50,000. Because if I say to you, right, my most expensive package is 50,000 and you go, and I go, but for you, it'd be 10,000 because we go on a lower package. It seems so much easier then. The problem is coaches freak out because the number they say is the biggest number they've normally said. So we're at our limit. So then you find something else to talk about. It's okay. Well, the biggest coach in my industry typically charges £30,000 for what I do. Now, I'm not at their standard, but here's why I'm only £3,000 and why I think it's better for you. That's a lot more comfortable conversation. And in our mind, if we're used to tricking ourselves, we then trick ourselves that we're actually pretty good as a deal. And we need to sell ourselves on that first. Because if you can't sell yourself on your value, there's no way you're going to go out there and get other people to buy from you either.
So the people that you usually accept as clients, where in the coaching journey are they? What would show you that they're a good potential fit for you to work with?
It's not about where they are in their journey. It's about the person that they are. I'll have a conversation with someone. How many hours a week have you got to put into it? Right? If you've got 2 hours a week, I'm not working with you because it's pointless. You'll end up hating me and I'll get frustrated. Are you prepared to be learned? Are you coachable? Are you prepared to do new things? Are you prepared to live outside your comfort zone for the next 4 months to have the rest of your life completely change? And if you are, great, I'll work with you. And then it comes down to a few things. Where are you based in the world? How much is your product? Because if your product's £300, it's not worth it. Because to cover the cost that you've covered, for you to make £50,000, you've got to find hundreds of people. So if you've got someone now who's got a £1,500 program, for example, they're tenacious, they've got a pain point that they want to fix, they're committed, they're going to work, they're going to turn up for the Zoom calls. I do 3 to 5 hours worth of prep work for each client each week. If you're not doing at least 4 times what I'm doing, it's not going to work. Because I can't be your cheerleader and lift you up, right? I can't be the coach and throw the ball for you. Player coaches don't work. But I can be your cheerleader and I can be the coach, but you still need to turn up on game day and you still need to turn up on practice. And you need to put the blood, sweat, and the tears in the practice because you're trying to go to a place you've never been. And it's going to take you doing that work. And the first 2 weeks is always the worst for people. And normally on the 4th week, there's normally a day where they go, oh, I'm tired. And then after that, they're like, my God, this is amazing. And some people will make 10 grand in a week. Some people will take a month. Some people take 2 months. But we'll only take the people on, but we see it because I don't want to take people on if I don't think they'll get there. Because I think it's unfair. I'd rather they went and done something else and come back to me later when they're in a better mindset. So I don't want to take people that are lazy. I don't want to take people that won't execute. But I've got someone right now, they've not even finished creating their product. But she has got the dream, the vision, the goal. She's doing the work. She messaged me at 6 a.m. Like we're talking all the time. There's just a real electric vibe, but she really wants to help people. And she's prepared to go through the pain of this to help people. And I'm prepared to do that with her, by her side, to get her to that stage. So yeah, I'm very much, it's not the person, the offer, and who the person is more important than anything else.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, David. And
thank you for having me.
Do let us know, how can people connect with you?
Best thing to do, Instagram is actually my main place. I post every day. Facebook doesn't seem to like me as much anymore. I don't know why. But Instagram.com/thesalesangel, or you can go to thesalesangel.com, or you can email me at hello@thesalesangel.com. But Instagram, I'm on there all the time. I post on social medias every day anyway. And actually, for anyone who does want help, you can go to my Instagram and I post a reel. Some days I do 3 reels a day. So you can literally get trained for free for like weeks and learn stuff. And then when you're ready, you come through and I'm more than happy to have a chat. And yeah, thank you for having me today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to listen to this podcast again and definitely share it with some of my clients, because this is definitely a struggle, motivating people to value themselves more and embrace the sales process.
I agree.
I really appreciate you being here, and thank you so much, everyone who's been with us and watching us on Facebook. And have a good day, and see you next week for our next podcast.
Thank you, guys. Bye, Doreen. Thanks, Rena. Thanks, everyone.
Wait for a sec.
Oh.
Stop live stream. Strange.